Hello, everyone. Glad to see you all back here. Thank you for joining us. We are the OCD Visual Advocates. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Matthew Bannister. I am a passionate IOCDF Grassroots advocate. And with me, the amazing Carol Edwards, former CBT therapist, IOCDF advocate, and author of Address Staring OCD, which I have the book right here. I recommend that. It is a brilliant, brilliant book. You can purchase it on Amazon, and you can get it also on Amazon Kindle. It is a great read, and it gives you lots of guidance, knowledge, how to overcome and manage visual tourettic OCD. And it's just a brilliant, brilliant book, and I cannot recommend it. Today's topic, we are going to address stigma surrounding VTO, as this is a big subject, isn't it, Carol?
It is, yeah. Well, hello everybody. To begin with, thanks for being here. And we're going to talk about why visual tourettic OCD is not criminal intrusive staring. So we're going to use VIS. No, it's not. It's VTO for visual tourettic OCD and CIS for criminal intrusive staring. That will make it easier to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna dissect, aren't we, the differences between it. But obviously CIS is a serious issue, but obviously with our disorder it's a whole different case as well, and that we want to advocate the differences with that, so anyone struggling or suffering with VTO doesn't get falsely stigmatized for CIS, as it can really make it can make big implications to your social life, as well as anything you do in life, basically what can happen with your reputation. So it's absolutely important, we think anyway, that we can really address this and really basically help you all understand the key differences are with this. But I will let you take it away, Carol, with
well, as you've said, CIS and VTO differ significantly, and this video will explore the physical symptoms, psychological aspects, and potential legal consequences of CIS and VTO. It will include two real-life scenarios to illustrate their impact on the person staring and society. So I think we can talk about criminal intrusive staring first, CIS.
Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, absolutely.
So according to Transport for London and the police, CIS is when someone is staring at another person in a way that makes them uncomfortable, intimidated, or frightened. The stare may be prolonged, unwanted, and may include leering, winking, or other appropriate gestures. This behaviour is considered offensive and may result in legal action if reported. So have you got anything to add to that, Matthew, before I go into the symptoms?
I totally agree with that. Obviously, when you are on public transport, you don't want, but some people out there unfortunately do they do get off basically of making people uncomfortable. And they do have that morbid mindset of where that they enjoy let's say staring at someone to make them feel unsafe and to make them feel like an object, if that makes sense, or that like basically they are the predator and they want to make you feel as uncomfortable as they possibly can. And that could be where they could be staring at you for not just for a minute. Like, you can have differences with this as well, like I say, with we'll talk about more, is when you have people watching, which is normal, like with people just being curious. But obviously with this scenario is when someone is basically directly looking at you for half an hour or longer than that. Could be an hour, depending whatever you're doing on a journey, on a train, on a bus. They will just fixate their staring at you and do not take your eyes off you. And that as well, that as well, that can make that the person, we could say the victim, really can really hurt them psychologically, because obviously when they're experiencing that, they're gonna really feel frightened. They don't know what this person could be capable of, what they're thinking of doing, and it could have a really traumatic event to that person. because no one wants to go through that. So that's what I would think on that part.
Yeah, and I agree, because the physical symptoms, you know, the victim of CIS might feel fear and discomfort. Some people may feel nauseous, dizzy, disoriented, whereas others may experience a tightening in their chest or an elevated heart rate. And then there's the psychological aspects. Another one of them words, Matthew.
It's okay.
So from a psychological perspective, CIS can cause significant emotional trauma for the person being stared at. They may feel violated, humiliated, and powerless. Over time, this can contribute to anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. And the potential legal consequences, CIS is often regarded as a deliberate act of harassment, which can result in a fine, a restraining order, or a prison sentence. And I do have trying to think of the word, Matthew.
That's okay.
An example of someone who was sentenced to prison. So do you want me to tell you that now, or is it something else that you want to say?
You can do, please, Carol. Yeah, please. That'd be great to hear.
Yeah. Okay. So in May 2022, a man was sentenced to 5 months in jail after a woman reported him to the police for continuously staring at her on a train. The man was found guilty of causing intentional harassment after he sat next to the victim on the train and began staring at her very intently. The woman repeatedly asked him to stop, but he continued to stare despite distress. At the time of his sentencing, a sergeant from the British Transport Police said it was clear from the defendant's persistent and distressing actions that he is a danger to women and girls, and that is so completely different to someone with VTO.
Absolutely, it's very much different.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, we'll very quickly address this as well. Like with someone like that, let's say, that is purposely doing that, like I say, they're doing everything possibly can, just like I say, to make that person feel powerless. They basically put as much fear as they possibly can, and they just unfortunately enjoy that sensation, that morbid sensation, and that is obviously, as we all know, is very wrong. You just don't do it, and you know it's very. It's very disrespectful, obviously.
They have no regard for the victim, which is so completely opposite to someone with VTO.
Yeah, and it could, I suppose, it could happen to men as well. Like you could have another man doing that to a man.
Oh yeah.
And it could just make you really feel uneasy. Like that person could be looking at me, maybe that I might be wearing something of value, and then maybe he's just staring at that, thinking, I don't know, is he trying to maybe want to rob me? Or any of those feelings, it can just be so uneasy. I mean, I saw as well on the article at the BBC where a woman saying that she had that same situation where this person was basically staring at her for about half an hour, fixing his gaze upon her for half an hour, and then he actually sat behind her, and then he sat next to her staring at her.
It kind of becomes harassment then.
It does, absolutely does. It's really harassment, because as we know, that is just not correct social behavior. That is very intrusive, because you're going against that person's privacy, their boundaries, and it's just a horrendous situation. I mean, none of us would ever want that. It's horrible, and also there's been reports of people who do that. They can also follow that person off a train or a bus, and they could walk behind them. They could even say stalking them just to keep making them feel really uncomfortable. So it is a really horrible, thing that can happen with, with criminal intrusive staring. And that's why obviously we understand why that system and law is in place with that, because obviously people should have protection against people like that. But as we're about to say now, there is a lot of key differences with, let's say, CIS and VTO. A huge amount of differences. Because like I said, with people with VTO, that's the one thing they don't want to happen. They have no pleasure in whatsoever of this disorder. And also, as I'll let you say, elaborate, Carol, as well. It's like with us, we don't, let's say, fixate when we, let's say, the staring happens, we don't look at someone straight for half an hour. We especially don't come closer to them. We do the exact opposite. We do
exactly.
Avoid. We have no, like say, no enjoyment from it whatsoever. It's complete fear factor for us. Absolute fear factor. It's the, let's say, the fight, flight, freeze response, the FFF. Is why this can, let's say, and someone might notice when it might be happening, when our eyes could dart. It's because we're so frightened of being so hypervigilant of that person being aware of us. But what would you like to say more on that as well?
That's like wanting to escape. You know, when you see someone's eyes darting around like that, they want to escape. They don't want to sit and stare. So with VIS, there's ocular tension in VTO. Did I say VTO just then? Or did I say CIS just then?
I think you said CIS.
Yeah, sorry. I meant VTO. So there's, we've got that right.
No, it's okay, don't worry about it.
So ocular tension in VTO is a condition that results in involuntary visual action, such as staring, scanning one's periphery and rolling the eyes. When I say staring, though, from my perspective of, one having OCD staring, if you want to call it that, which before we talked about, this is a tic. And really that's what it is. It's releasing tics, but we call it staring. And rolling the eyes. So this condition involves obsessions and compulsions related to OCD. For example, suppose someone releases a tic on a person's private region. In this case, they will ruminate about being caught and called a deviant or criminal intrusive starer. Similarly, people experiencing obsessions with symmetry, orderliness, or cleanliness may display tic behaviour. This may be to unleash a tic on a particular part of an individual's face or body that they find asymmetrical or unclean. Finally, people may find they release tics on a person's tattoos, scars, jewellery, or something else. People with VTO find it difficult to move their eyes from where they landed a tic. This is usually a freeze response associated with anxiety, but it looks like staring.
Yes. Yeah, you said it beautifully there, Carol. Like you say, with like I say, with the tic, it can happen where when we are feeling, let's say as well, the sheer anxiety of a situation is like, we feel it can be out of our control. Like you said as well, very well, with scars, let's say, for instance, or anything peculiar about a person, obviously our visual tic would be drawn to that straight away, even though we don't want it to happen, because we don't want to disrespect that person, but it can still happen because obviously we're thinking, don't look there, don't stare there, but yet it keeps happening because of the FFF response, what I believe, and that's why the tic keeps happening. Obviously when you get in a situation where you feel more comfortable, it can happen less. But the main thing obviously with this, that we're not doing it intrusively, we're doing it involuntary.
That's right.
Where, like I said, for instance, let's say someone, what we're saying about CIS, we'll be looking at someone on the train in front of them, right, for about half an hour. For us, let's say we might be ruminating, obsessing about this in our mind, thinking, what is that person, what if they might notice us like looking towards that direction when they might not even be looking at them right now, but we're looking towards the direction. That person might turn around, and then we're going to start ruminating about thinking, oh, well, they're going to think we're like CIS. And then we're going to look at them more because we're so frightened that they're going to presume that, like, our hypervigilance will alert our brains to where the tic would unfortunately just keep getting drawn to that because we're feeling the FFF response. And that's why it keeps happening, and it's involuntary, not, like, say, intrusively. And then the person or ourselves with VTO can suffer from that. It can be just a horrific experience because we're thinking of the worst case scenario, and then sometimes, unfortunately, that worst case scenario might actually happen, where you might get confronted, let's say, for instance, with someone might accuse you.
And I have. You have, haven't you, Matthew?
I have as well. And it is a horrible, horrible experience, and I wish it upon no one. And this is why we're advocating right now on this, to where hopefully, we can get it addressed where people with VTO don't get falsely accused of
Exactly.
CIS, because it's everything against our nature. Is, you know, it's not who we are, it's everything we're against believing in, of being, you know, of that deviant, because we're the exact opposite, it's against our values. But the OCD will basically be telling us, like, we are, let's say, in our minds, and it can be
obsession.
really, it's obsession, that can just really hurt our psychological part of us.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we'll just ruminate it about it all day, or the following day, weeks on end. And then obviously it becomes where you become petrified, going on trains, buses, and what have you, and become isolated.
So then you've got your compulsions, your avoidance.
Yes.
Escape. So the physical symptoms, you know, for someone with VTO, can be anxiousness and feelings of panic with FFF, like you said, fight, flight, or freeze. These symptoms are made worse by the ridicule and stigma of those around them, which is really what you've just been talking about. And we've both had that. And I think if you're going to get accused of criminal intrusive staring, that's not nice at all. So it's good that we can raise this awareness and, you know, distinguish the two. Yeah,
because like you say, it is completely different. The CIS and VT are completely two different, like I say, subjects, have you will. Like I say, ours is a disorder. The person with CIS is doing it because they enjoy it. It's because it's voluntary to them, whereas us, like I say, it's the complete opposite. Because we, like I say, it's ego dysonic, if I said that correctly, to us, where we just, you know, it's all against our morals or values. We don't want to do this, but unfortunately, like I say, with the FFF response, it does keep happening because we're feeling so anxious of what that person's thinking. And then because our mind alerts us of that danger, we see it as a red flag. Unfortunately, with the tic, it will keep drawing to that because our eyes are telling us it's a danger. And that's why it keeps happening. We want to make that person uncomfortable. We don't want to make them feel unsafe. We want the exact opposite. We want them to make them feel as safe as possible. We want to make sure that we're a good person. We are someone that wants to be, you know, just makes them feel like any other normal part of the public, where they can feel relaxed on wherever they are in the public transport. And it'd be the same for us when we are there too, that we want to feel that exact same notion where, you know, we know who we are. We're not like, say, CIS, where people with VTO. And this is the thing where, obviously, when someone's looking at us with a difference with CIS, with someone with CIS, they were looking at them where it'd be just a fixed stare, but maybe emotionless. Maybe they might, you say, leering, winking, doing some other horrible gestures. Whereas with us, it would be where we would be really anxious. We would be really, really terrified of that situation. You see our physical symptoms, we would be like, we could be shaking, could be hyperventilating. We would be looking away as much as we possibly can, apart from at that person. So we'd be looking towards the ceiling, towards the floor, towards the window, even closing our eye, so that we are not looking at that person.
But that sort of behaviour to someone else looks odd.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, we're thinking,
but
why
it's so difficult for us to not do it.
Yes, it is, because that's our compulsion. That's our avoidance. That's our safety behaviours. We believe do that then we know that we're basically saying to ourselves, we're getting the certainty of this in our minds. We're not looking at that person, so that we know then we're okay now, because I've just shut my eyes. I know that, and then that person, if they do look back at me, knows that I'm not looking at them because my eyes are still closed. How is it? And how can I be intrusively staring at them when my eyes are closed? Or like, so I'm looking towards the floor the entire journey, or looking towards the seat in front of me, let's say the back of the seat, and that's all my eye gaze would be on. Or even on my phone, for example, I'll be just glued on my phone. I won't look anywhere else. It'd be just on my phone, because that is my safety behavior. Because I know doing that, how can anyone accuse me for intrusive staring when I'm just on my phone? So that is, like, say, I
get that.
It's one of the key differences with this, that you can tell when someone has VTO. It's the complete opposite of pleasure.
That's what I've said here. This psychological aspect for this, VTO causes significant psychological distress for the person experiencing the symptoms. The tics can lead to feelings of shame, embarrassment, unemployment and isolation. Over time, this can contribute to physical symptoms such as increased anxiety, depression and other mental health issues. And I think something similar like that happened for you, Matthew. And that is really what we want to get across to people who think that we could be intrusive starers. That this is actually what we go through. We lose our jobs, we become isolated, and we don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, it's one of the most horrible things in the world. When I was going through the worst of this, obviously for me, it was happening at work. Yeah. And I could, no one confronted me directly, but I could hear it crystal clear. Let's say people talking about me, or someone very close behind me talking about me, saying, like I say, if you heard about him checking someone out, he checks everyone out all the time. It can be really derailing. It is horrible for anyone to hear that.
It really is.
Yeah, because when you're having this, when you first go through it, you don't know what's happening to you. I mean, for me, I didn't realize this was OCD. I thought it was just me of having a psychotic breakdown.
Yeah.
And it was so soul destroying, because I would never, ever, ever want anyone to feel anything like that. I would never want to make anyone feel unsafe or disrespected, or I'm invading their privacy, or, going against their boundaries. I would never, ever want to do that. And it was just a horrific experience. And like I say, no one should go through that stigma, because it can be horrendous.
Yeah. And this is why it's so important that, we are raising awareness now.
It is, yeah.
And helping people to understand, what is really going on and how we are affected.
Yeah, because let's say, for example, as well, me at the workplace, when I was really going through the worst of this, I had so many avoidance behavior. Like if someone was CIS, they wouldn't do any of that. They would just keep doing it because they wouldn't phase. Whereas with me, I would, let's say, go to the toilets a lot just to break from the work area, just to be by myself, regroup, have you will. I would make sure that I would be furthest away from anyone, so that unless I really had to talk to someone, then I would do that.
That must have been so difficult.
It was really, really difficult. And then also, and just basically, just keeping myself to myself, just being isolated, always in the workplace. When I was even at a break and I was eating my lunch, and my eyes would be down at the desk, my eyes would be looking at the phone. I wouldn't be anywhere else. Sometimes I would even start shaking, let's say, when someone would walk past me, because I'd be so frightened that my brain I'd be so monitoring my eye movement. It was a horrendous traumatic experience. And then when you do hear people talk about you with this, because obviously, unfortunately, with this, when you are feeling these emotions, like, so we're talking about the involuntary tic, it happens when you feel so anxious that you don't want it to happen. You do feel then the tic starts to unfortunately draw on your eyes, or have you will, and then it can happen. The tic will just release itself when you don't. Let's say if I'm really feeling the FFF response and someone's in front of me, unfortunately, in my mind, I'll be saying, don't look there, don't stare there, don't look at their private parts. And then, unfortunately, it would happen because I was so terrified of it. The tic would release itself. And it would just happen. I believe, as I say, my mind sees it as a red flag and my eyes will look at anything dangerous. For example, let's say, for example, a car's coming towards me. I'm not just going to not look at that car, am I? I'm just not going to let it hit me. I'm going to examine the situation and go from there. I believe that's the exact same thing. Well, similar to this, where you examine it when you have that feeling, what's built inside us as humans. That's exactly what I believe with the tic, and why it can release itself like that, because you're basically, it feels like danger is about to happen, and that's when it alerts your mind. Unfortunately, it does the reverse option where you don't want to look at it. You unfortunately look, because you're obsessing about it so much in your mind, you're ruminating about it. It releases, it happens.
You just kind of feel trapped in it all, don't you?
You do. And then, like you were saying as well, Carol, you feel the guilt and shame about it, thinking, why, how did I lose control again? Like, this is the one thing I don't want to do, and I just so disliking it so much. But it keeps happening. Why does it keep happening? and you just beat yourself up all day long. You call yourself the worst names. I did.
Yeah.
I have thoughts.
I think
about,
you internalize it.
Yeah.
We don't have those tools, you see, to explain to the people around us, this is what's happening to us. You know, so all those feelings we internalize. We end up feeling alone with it all. But there are solutions now, and this is the main thing. And later on we'll come to, you know, for instance, if we're in a situation like you've just described, you don't know what to do about that situation, we'll talk about that card that we talked about before, where you can hand it out and let them see, you know, from that card where to read about VTO, and also the CIS, and see that, you know, we're at this side of it, not that side of it, and we want some understanding so that we don't lose our jobs and that we can go socialising, etc.
Yeah, we can reclaim our lives back. It's like you say that with the business card what you've wrote in your book, Carol, like say with address staring OCD, it's validation, right? And you want that validation, you want that exemption to where, like, we are basically, unfortunately, with VTO, it can be out of our control.
Yeah,
we don't want it to be.
That's it. And that card could be a coping method.
It can, yeah.
You know,
yeah. Because obviously, like you've written on that card, Carol, it can exempt you from and diffuse the situation where it tells the person, like you just said, well, you go on these certified sources. Example, like for your website, Carol, OCDWriter.com, you've got brilliant blogs, and like I say, your books on there as well, advertise that person could read this disorder and exactly know what we're going through. And then obviously you can say to them as well, if you look on the BBC, it tells you what CIS is. Do you see me doing what they do with you, where I look at you for 30 minutes nonstop? No, you do not. I'm always away from you. I don't look at anyone. I do not to. So you can see right there then the difference.
And this is the thing, you know, and it gives you a voice, you know. Once you give that card out, you know, and then they kind of look at it and they want to know more, it gives you your voice back, because quite often we're just so closed with this and scared that we want to escape, or stuck in freeze or flight, you know, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, we want to be able to use our voice, and if that card can help initially, then that's a good thing. And people who don't know about it, so this is why we need to raise awareness.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like say with the normal public, let's say, don't know about it. It's the same with the OCD community. It's like it is rarely talked about. It needs to be addressed because it is a serious disorder. It is very debilitating, like all OCD themes. But like with us, let's say with OCD, people, like say, when they're going through their symptoms, let's say their worst case scenario fear, as we know, let's say when you're going through ERP, you find out when you do your treatment, your evidence-based treatment, that the worst case scenario could be very minimal. It's say we're not going to say that it might not happen, it might still happen, but it's very minimal to what people the worst fear would be. Like say with contamination, for example, if I held onto a bin for about half an hour, I could maybe become ill from that, but will I get a disease? Could I die the next week? The chances are small, but it's still a certainty, but it's very small. Well, unfortunately, with VTO, the chances are very big. It can really happen. You can really be stigmatized for this. Our worst fears come true. Obviously, with our fears with VTO of our realities, essentially being caught looking at private, our peripherally as someone, and then when we get called up on it, our worst fears have just been claimed. It's now become a reality, and it's horrible. It's so horrible, because then like I say, the obsessions and the ruminations, like I say, with the shame guilt side of this.
Well, this is the thing. There's a legitimate side to it relating to the tic.
Yes.
The obsessions and compulsions, you can look at them and think, well, you haven't been caught staring because of an obsession, for instance, because you've been having thoughts about it. Because we could say that thoughts don't convert to action. But even still, you'll get the obsession, you might do a compulsion to prevent that awful thing from happening. And if that's being caught staring, and then you'll keep on doing those compulsions if you think it's working for you. But the difference is we've got the tic. And there is a legitimate side to this. So both of us have been caught staring. Both of us have lost jobs because of staring. And this is what we need to address. We're not intrusive starers.
Yeah.
We're not criminal intrusive starers. We've got a Tourettic OCD.
Yeah, we've got a mental health disorder, and like you say, it's what is this the right word of saying? Neurological. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
Best.
Me and you with these words, Matthew.
Yeah.
But no, you said it okay.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, like you say, Carol, we're not intrusive starers. We're the furthest from it. We want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable. We just want to have a normal day-to-day life. We want to do everything normal like everyone else. We want to just go about our business, like say, for example, doing social things, going to a restaurant, going to a cinema, going to an arena, going to a rock concert. Like I say, when you do start, when you're at your job, you just want to do your job okay. You want to have a good connection with your employees. You want to have that bond still with them. You don't want to have all the other negative reactions related to this disorder. It's the one thing we don't want. And then it gets to a point, like say with us as well, Carol, like, or for me, it's like when we went to work, before we go to work, we'd be so like terrified of like going in, because we were dreading the outcome of what can happen that day. We're not going in that working day like everyone else thinking I'm just gonna do what I need to do at work. Let's say, for example, 9 till 5. I'm looking forward to enjoying time with my colleagues and then doing what I do in my job. And for us, it's like we're so terrified of like what those people's perceptions might be of me today. What am I going to hear? What is going to trigger me? Could I still be at my job at the end of the day?
Sure.
It's all these scenarios.
And I discussed this in my book.
Yes.
The good thing is there are techniques in that book that help you with that kind of thing. When you're in the workplace, even when you're at home with your own family, socialising, all that kind of thing. So that's a good news. There's something to help with the tic, as well as the obsessions and compulsions, that are associated with it.
Yeah, because in your book, Carol, like you've got like say fantastic techniques and guidance on how to manage the tic, as well as like say the obsessional side of this as well. Yeah. So you can learn how to manage both eventually at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like one more thing quickly as well. Like so with what we're talking about, let's say for a business card, so that it can exempt us, let's say, from stigma from this. It would be great in the future, let's say, that if doctors or therapists, lead therapists in the world could maybe sign that business card because they know that we have a genuine condition.
Yeah.
We're not obviously making this up. This is real. And could you give us please sign a card to exempt us from stigma. So let's say especially for employment, if the worst case scenario is going to happen where people complained and then we're about to unfortunately leave our jobs, get dismissed, it will have, like you say, that backup there that you've got evidence there that says, look, this is I have a disorder, and it is involuntary, not intrusive. And please,
especially if someone reported us to the police. And this is the next thing I was going to say, potential legal consequences. We've already seen the consequences for people who've got CIS. They can even be imprisoned. So imagine being caught for VTO as though it's intrusive staring. But even still, what you've just been saying about the doctors knowing and being able to stand up for us, if we were kind of arrested for it. So a tic in VTO is not a criminal offence, even though getting stuck staring may appear disruptive in certain settings, such as the work environment. However, the OCD community are now advocating, as we are, and educating people on this disorder. They urge people to see that it is a neurological problem, that word again, and not the fault of the person releasing involuntary tics on their private regions, face, tattoos, scars, and peripherally. So while people who experience these symptoms may be seen as rude, leading to negative social interactions. They do not wish to cause distress to anyone. Instead, it causes them emotional pain, and they feel responsible for others' embarrassment and distress.
Yeah, that's spot, Carol. Yeah.
And I do have an example.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Please say the example.
Okay, I'll give the example now. So, a man with VTO reported experiencing staring behaviours he could not control. He said that he often felt embarrassed and ashamed by these behaviours, and that they negatively affected his relationship with others. Additionally, he had trouble concentrating at work, and his colleagues ridiculed him and labelled him a creep, while others avoided him, embarrassed by his alleged motives.
Yeah, I mean, that's very similar to what we went through as well.
Yeah, so as a result, we'll come to that. He could not work anymore due to depression and subsequent isolation. But eventually he sought professional help and was able to manage his symptoms with medication and exposure response prevention therapy. So yeah, I think we talked about that where you resonated with that, Matthew.
Yeah, like you say, when you go into the employment setting, for example, and when this is really being talked about, let's say people have noticed. I remember, like I say, I was overhearing people call me a pervert, like I say, a creep, or they would be like I say, have you seen him checking everyone out? He keeps doing it.
That must be so cool for you.
Yeah, it was really, really, really hard. Because I would basically go home and cry. I just didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know why it was happening to me. It's the one thing I didn't want to do, but it kept happening. And it was just so soul destroying because, like you just said in that example, people would then start to avoid me as well. Where they just like would look at me, kind of give me like a funny look, have you will, and then not say anything and just walk away, or just keep far as where they can. They would always cross their legs, for example. Like say I would like not the usual way you feel comfortable, but on purposely in front of you, like when it's a bit weird, like why would do it just like that, but very deliberately. Or they would cover up, or
it's bullying really, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so demoralizing because it's just like like I said, because with the emotional side of this, it just eats you up inside because it's just basically like, it feels like OCD is just taking away everything from you, and it's like, how do you think to yourself, how do I find the right therapy for this? Like, what ERP works for this? How can I actually do ERP where this tic keeps happening? And if I get caught, it's just going to make my obsessions worse. It's going to make me feel worse because I'm trying to do exposures, but at the same time, like if I do get seen doing this, it can really harm my confidence. It can really harm my mindset of what I want to do. It's just really, really, really tough. It's a really hard one. But luckily, like you say, Carol, there is evidence-based therapy that can really work with this. Like you've brilliantly wrote in your book, you've got techniques, guidance, and you've got, like I say, with your other books as well with OCD, you can really reclaim your life back. There is a way you can do it, and you can find ways with exposures that is safe. Let's say that's not a compulsion, that's just a step on your hierarchy that can really start where you can recover. It's not where I thought at one point when I was getting self-deletion thoughts. I thought there's no way out of this. There is a way out. You can figure it out. For me, I had to, like you say about work, I had to leave the workplace. I had to go on sick leave, but I had no choice because if I was still being there, it would just crush my confidence completely because they were just making me cut up cardboard to be away from everyone. That's all I was doing.
If you could tell them something now, the workplace, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that this is a disorder. It is a theme of OCD, and there are sources that back this up. And I would show them, obviously, your website as well, Carol, like I say, OCDwriter.com, that has blogs specifically telling what this is. Like I said, the IOCDF have as well articles with this, which Jonathan Grayson has brilliantly wrote. And also you got the No CD website as well, that talk about this too, and they're all certified sources. So your employer has to take this seriously. And if they want you to go further, you can go to your doctor and show these sources to your doctor to then explain to give you evidence, or have you will, to your employer, to back you up that this is a real OCD disorder that's going on with you. You're not doing it intrusively. You're not doing, like I say, with CIS. You know, this is VTO. This is completely different. And you don't want to be no more falsely stigmatized in the workplace. You want to be as you was before, where you can work normally and freely, where you don't have to feel that you're constantly being judged, you're constantly being watched by others to see where you're looking. You just want to be relaxed and do what you want to do. I'll throw another quick example as well, Carl, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sure. That one of the ladies in my support groups, she goes to shop for medication, and every time she goes to the shop, she has one of the members of staff there always confronts her or talks to her, and knows that she does have the tic, and it happens, like I said, the staring happens involuntary, but she keeps always questioning her, or she would confront her, or she would say under her breath threats to her about this, and really make her feel uncomfortable and really severely anxious. All she wants to do is go there and buy her medication. And that's what that's
so again, it's raising awareness.
It's raising awareness.
And in conclusion to what we've been talking about, CIS and visual tics in OCD have different origins, physiological and psychological aspects, legal implications, and prevention strategies. While CIS is intentional and socially unacceptable, VTO is involuntary and associated with a mental health disorder. Therefore, educating people on consent and harassment associated with CIS and legal action could help prevent intrusive staring for a safer, more inclusive society. In contrast, raising awareness and treating VTO with therapy can help people recover, rebuild social bridges, and return to employment without stigma.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, would you like to give any more examples on that, Carol?
I don't have any more examples, but basically that's it. Seeing the two and separating them, seeing the differences, seeing all the aspects that we've been through, and really raising awareness and having people understand.
I think this is it as well. Like I say, this is why I'm passionate with the IOCDF, because they really take this on board seriously with advocacy. And I'm we are so proud to be a part of that journey with them, because they do take this seriously, as it rightfully should. And it just, like I say, to push the awareness as much as possible throughout the OCD community, to where that it can hopefully one day expand to where it can go to the medical boards nationally, or worldwide, I should say. And this can really be then mainstreamed as a theme. It is known, like I say, in the OCD community spectrum, but this needs to be it needs to be mainstreamed. Like with all the subtypes, like I say,
so.
I mean, abuse subtypes, like I say, with harm OCD.
I mean, some people might say, well, it's all OCD. Why are we talking about themes? But we do, because we need to make people understand what a particular theme is, or what for instance, with the staring, what people are actually doing.
Exactly. And then it just, like I say, it gives the awareness for it. It gives the validation for it. Which is what's most important with this. So then someone can really go back to normal, to their eventually recovery, like with me and Carol, can live back to the normal life where they don't have to always do these compulsions or avoidance isolation behaviors. They can live a normal, happy, big, beautiful life, as Katie Dunn's is brilliantly well. Katie Dunn's an amazing lead advocate, and she's inspired me so much with recovery, as well as you, Carol. And with Chris Tronston, amazing advocates. Liz McInvale, Ethan Smith, like Krista Reed, amazing advocates, brilliant, just like all their, like, say, what they've gone through as well in their personal journey, and how they've come through it all. It's the same with us and our journey, that we can do the exact same thing. We can reclaim our lives back and make, I like saying this motto as well, like, we turn our struggle into strength. And that's exactly what we're doing, like I say, with this, with the advocacy. That's why we're so passionate about advocating on VTO, like I say, to really push the awareness, because it really needs to be pushed. Make a difference, because this is now being it's been not talked about long enough. It needs to be really elevated now. It needs to be really made significantly aware, because thousands of people, maybe millions, go through this disorder, and it's still rarely talked about. And now it's time that it really needs to be pushed. It needs to happen. It needs to go forth. And like I said, me and you, Carol, we'll do everything we can to make that a reality, which we are doing right now. And like I said, the more shares we get with these videos, like I say, you guys for subscribing, we thank you so much for that. Like the subscribing, like, shares, just really helps, elevates the awareness. With every single share, gives more knowledge about what this disorder is, the difference between CIS and VTO. Because like I said, no one should go through the worst thing, a case scenario with this, with the stigma. Should not suffer any more than we are doing already with this. So yeah, it makes a major difference, doesn't it, Carol? I was thinking now, I was thinking of any more points, guys.
I think the main thing now is that, thanks everybody for being here, and watching our video. And if you're struggling with this, or know someone who is, then there are coping strategies that we talked about, and there is therapy, ERP therapy, and also techniques to manage the tic, which comes from habit reversal training. Well, from my perspective anyway, because I've tried all of that out and found that it does work. And you can find those strategies in my book, Address Staring OCD. But the main thing is to understand the difference, and that Matthew and I are trying to get out the understanding that VTO is not criminal intrusive staring.
It's not. It's the exact opposite. It's where basically we become the victim of OCD.
So, for instance, what I meant there really was to not feel as though that you should be classed as that. It's kind of stand up for yourself, get a coping strategy, and get the therapy.
Because you can absolutely do that. I mean, like you say, we see OCD as a big bully, for example, or you could see, it's basically fear trying to latch onto you, the worst ways it possibly can, what you hold value most. With us, it's our social reputation. It's being judged. You see, you can so put that on the back seat. You can eventually do evidence-based therapy, and you do ERP that works for you, that's value-based driven. That's really helped me so much in recovery. You can really change the way that you see ERP, as a lifestyle, as Chris Tronson brilliantly says as well. You really do, because eventually exposures no longer become exposures; they become life again, and then you won't think of these things. I was at a point that I was housebound with this disorder. I wouldn't go anywhere, and then now when I've been meeting with Carol, for example, when we do our every Wednesday meetings, we can go now anywhere we like, and we are just not fazed by this tic anymore. We've now done ERP in a way that we just become desensitized to the fear of it. It takes time. It's it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but you will cross that finish line. You will absolutely get there. And when you do, it's the most amazing feeling ever, because like we've gone through the most darkest places with this theme, just disorder, OCD in general, and you go on the other side, it is just remarkable. You've just like, it's incredible, because this is so debilitating, and you really can get to a point where you can see the light. You can go that light at the end of the tunnel. Where like for us, we can go to pubs again. Let's say, for example, like we like going to Weathers.
We do. Love pizza and ice cream. And custard with your ice cream.
To what we value most, just to enjoy life for what it is. We sit right next to a bar. I mean, before I won't be anywhere near there. I'll be like a secluded space where no one's around me as much. We're amongst a lot of people. It was busy, wasn't it, Carol, as well, Wednesday? And we were fine. It's like when I went to the bar as well, and I ordered drinks in there.
Yeah, you were really confident.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it just shows that you can you can reclaim your life from this. You can recover. There is always a way. You can figure it out. And we are proof of that. I mean, sometimes I still feel that anxiety can creep in. I still get intrusive thoughts, but I've learned how to manage it. I've learned how to cope with it.
Yeah.
Like Katie O'Dunn says brilliantly, it's like when you get intrusive thoughts, let's say with this theme as well, that's really debilitating. You say, you know what, I'm just so pumped with that intrusive thought, just bring it on. Just bring it on, and it will just diminish it. And I see it as a like I said from Harry Potter, I see it as a boggart where it's the most feared outcome. Let's say it's judgment for us. You just turn it into something that you can make it into a pink fluffy bunny, for example, right, of that fear, and then it just fades away. And it has no value, meaning to you, because you know who you are. You're not, like I say, someone from CIS. You're not a deviant. You are a genuine good person, and you're going through just a very debilitating disorder. And then when you really truly understand that and you embrace it, that's when the intrusive thoughts dissipate. That's when the tic dissipates. That's when this will eventually dissipate in its own right, to where you will go places to where this doesn't affect you anyway. Literally in the back seat while you're in the driving seat, and you can go anywhere you want in future, and you will be okay. You can live a happy life. And the big one as well is like when you, like, even for me, when I go back into the world of work again, I can go back there and I will be myself. I know what I have now. I can manage it, and I know how to live a normal life again, where this no longer is debilitating to me. I can live a normal life. Well, to a degree, I can live to a happy life, I should say. A recovered life, where OCD is still there, but it no longer so debilitating effects on me. I have now reclaimed everything that I want most back in my life again, which is social interaction.
Well done. You've done really well, Matthew.
Oh, thank you.
Over the past few months, really well.
Carol. And you've done really, really well as well, Carol, because you like I say, everyone here, I mean, Carol, you've had it, like I say, VTO for a long time, haven't you? You've had VTO since when you was a child.
Yes, started when I was a child, but you see, then I didn't know anything, not even about OCD. So it was quite a long while afterwards, into my adulthood, that I realised I had OCD, and then VTO. And that's where I thought I need to do something here with this tic. Because ERP itself is fine, you go out there and you do your exposures. But we talked about this in our last video, about random staring. So I won't go into that now. But the technique that I used and tried myself was habit reversal training for the tic, and that's all explained in the book.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And that goes with the ERP.
Yes, it does. It goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because when you use both those techniques combined, then it works. Because
it did for me, and I think, Matthew, you said it has for you.
It has for me as well. Yes, it has. Because obviously, then you've got tools. You've got tools that you can use at any time you want, if you ever need them. Let's say when you really feel, let's say this again is really becoming really anxious with you, and you really feel like, okay, I can really feel that tic about to come on. I can feel it with my eyes. Like, I know it's about to happen. You will find then techniques where you know how to manage that. You can suppress that tic to where then, let's say that situation can be totally diffused.
That's right. Yeah.
You can suppress the tic in a way that will be a safe way, where it doesn't impact you on a social level, and you can still go to your day-to-day as normal, and you're not giving the intrusive thoughts any value still, and that's what you want to go with this. You want it to be where you are in the driving seat still, and exactly what that would be. You're not doing it's not a compulsion either. This is a technique. This is a tool that can basically, like I say, it can really help you in your social life to still live a normal day to day, which is the main aim with this. And then, as we all know as well, when you do get to a certain point with recovery, hopefully you'll get to a point where you won't need these techniques anymore. Like I say, you'll get to a point where you can go in your day to day and you'll be okay, because you've really managed the feeling of the anxiety of this, the doubts of this, and you really, really do embrace everything, you really understand it, and then it won't phase you anymore because you just know how to handle it. You've mastered it, basically. You've mastered ERP, you've mastered your treatment, and it's brilliant, guys. It's brilliant. It can just go a long, long way. I think that's about everything we need to, we can really address. But you know, it's been an honor, Carol. You're amazing, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
You are too. You've done so well.
Oh, thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
For how far you've come, because you've put everything into practice, and that's the point, really. You know.
Yeah.
We can know about ERP, we can know about HRT, but it's put it into practice.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
you put it into practice, and you do it obviously where it's still challenging for you, but not too overwhelming. You try.
Yeah.
When you find that balance, and you will, that's when you know you'll start making steps in your recovery, and you're doing it the right way, because then you'll go certain places to where you're not feeling that anxiety has been intense as before.
Yeah.
And then that's when you, I've got that aha moment where this is actually working for me now. I get it, I understand it. And then you just go from there, and your confidence will just so rise. But yeah, very quickly, it's like, as well, like, so we're pushing this, the awareness of this, just so, like I say, more research can be done as well on VTO, because I know you were mentioning, Carol, in this country there is research being done with this at the moment.
Yes. So if you want to know about the research, that would be on IBT.online. And I know, I've forgotten his name. Grayson. I know his name. It's just my memory. Jonathan Grayson. He was doing some research. Whether he still is, I don't know, but could Google him. Everyone knows him. So.
Yeah, he's very, like, so one of the best leading therapists with OCD or mental health disorders. He's an incredible therapist, is John. I mean, that would be great. Like I say, if more research, if John can obviously if he's still doing it, or let's say that he could find time to do it again, obviously that we would love it. Like, the community could give him as much research as possible, so then obviously treatment can be made available worldwide for this, and we don't have to go through the the really dark, let's say, areas of this disorder. But anyway, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much for tuning in to OCDVA, OCD Visual Advocates. It means the world to us. Thank you for subscribing to us as well. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you for liking our content. Thank you for sharing our content. So the more awareness of this disorder, the better it is for all of us, because then we can all live a happy, free life, which is what it's all about. So, sorry, my voice is going, everyone.
Where's your water?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Carol, like I say, Carol Edwards, you are amazing. And again, you can buy Carol's books on Amazon, which is Address Staring OCD, and Carol has published other books as well on OCD. I really recommend buying them. They are amazing for guidance and knowledge. I cannot stress that enough. And they have really helped me with my recovery journey, and I really hope they would help you with your recovery journey. And we can always help you as well. That if you want to message us, please do, and we can help you as well understand more if you need that too, with information and guidance with that. We are more than happy to help you. Carol's website is ocdwriter.com. You can, like say, find resources with the IOCDF.org and also with NoCD. Also, the IOCDF do 2 live streams a week. The Tuesdays live stream with community conversations with Ethan Smith, and also they do Faith and the Round Table OCD with Katie O'Dunn. That is amazing. I really recommend checking that out. And also on Wednesdays, they do Ask the Experts with Chris Tronson and Elizabeth McInvale. And also they do the Research Roundtable as well. So, and they do town halls as well every month. So I really, really recommend checking them out. They've got a conference as well on the 1st of May called the Faith and OCD Conference. I recommend checking that out too, if you want to know more about religious scrupulosity with OCD. So thank you all very, very much for joining. and we will all see you all next time. So thank you all. I am Matthew Bannister, IOCDF passionate grassroots advocate, and Carol Edwards, passionate IOCDF advocate. Thank you all so much.
Thanks everybody for being here. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Looking forward to seeing you next time. So thank you. See you later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.